Welcome to Beam Global's Fireside Chat series, where CEOs share secrets of global B2B software marketing. In these interviews, we have selected CEOs and founders of top B2B software companies and startups that have already made their breakthrough to global international markets. Our purpose here is to learn what were the challenges that they have overcome, the strategies that they have devised, to obtain some tips from them, and of course avoid unnecessary mistakes for you guys. And our guest today is Michael Shoham. He's the co-founder and CEO at Radix. Radix is a bootstrap, self-funded company that was actually transformed from an IT integration company into an international software solutions company. Radix delivers end-to-end device management solutions, consolidating all the devices, processes, and stakeholders into one easy-to-use platform. They are selling worldwide, Latin America, North America, Europe, to different type of customers, but with specific focus also on the education sector. They have partnered with very big and prominent global device manufacturers worldwide, and we thought it's a good case study for all of us to learn about their international marketing activities. Hi, Michael. How are you? How are you doing?
All right, I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Great. Very nice having you here with us at the blog. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, your background, and the company, and the products, and which type of customers do you target?
Okay, so you did a great job introducing our company. I'll just introduce myself a little bit. So I'm a co-founder of the company. We've been around for quite a long time, and we transformed from a service provider into a software company, a software developing company, mainly around the requirements and needs that we found the market has a big shortcoming in. And we found a solution that we developed ourselves and started marketing it worldwide. First locally, of course, and then worldwide. We gradually transformed from an IT service provider, and all our staff gradually changed into R&D. We are strictly R&D company today, with just a little bit around sales and marketing, but mainly R&D.
Right. Tell me, please, Michael, at which stage, I mean, you talked a little bit about it, but at which stage have you decided to go global, to make it international, go beyond the local market?
So we started to develop device management solutions that helped IT administrators, IT staff to manage their fleet of devices. So the global market is much more attractive than the local market. The local market is very advanced but small, and we are developing solutions that manage a great number of devices, huge fleets, anywhere from thousands to hundreds of thousands, and in cases millions of devices in one device fleet. And the turning point was when we first introduced the Android solution, and we noticed, or let's say that we anticipated that Android will be, it was way back, but Android will be the the operating system that will conquer the world in terms of device fleets, anything from mobile phones to tablets and mission-oriented devices. And we developed our solution around Android, and this is where we started to approach the global market.
I see. That's quite clear. Now, when you compare the sales in the Israeli local market, where you guys are based, to selling international markets, where is it more challenging? Where do you find it harder to sell?
Well, it is quite different. Our local market is much different than the international market by definition. We target, in the local market, we focus mainly on the education sector, where the devices or the number of devices are quite big. Instead of focusing on companies or enterprises where you don't have many devices. So by definition, our market is different globally and local. If we are looking at the local market, is much harder to sell into enterprise rather than the international markets, the global markets. The need is obvious when you're looking at a company that has thousands of devices. They need a central management solution rather than a company that has 100 or 50 single purpose devices where they need to manage them. It is very difficult to find the key person or the decision maker that will take it upon himself to start such a project or such an initiative in a smaller company. So the global market is much, well, I wouldn't say easier, but it's more effective, and we're getting better traction.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Now, one of the challenges where you're selling everywhere, but especially in international markets that are very competitive, is to define what we call the unique selling proposition. So what is unique, or how do you define your unique proposition that makes your target customers eventually willing to buy from you rather than from your competitors?
Well, it's in our case, it's quite easy since we are focusing mainly on the device manufacturers, the one that are actually building the devices from let's say top of the pyramid going down. It's easier for us to target them. Once we show our solution, once we show the device manufacturer how our solution is very attractive and fits the exact need of his unique device, such a VR device or a rugged phone or a tablet or something like that, then the rest of the work is not on us. It's on the manufacturer itself. He has his own channels, and when the manufacturer introduces the management solution, it comes as a pair. So we don't have to educate the market. We don't have to educate the channel. It's up to the manufacturer to do so. And once the manufacturer is vetting a solution, a device management solution, it's a no-brainer for the customer. They will always choose what the manufacturers offer rather than try to find or tailor something into their own use.
Mm-hmm. So the role of the partner is very critical here. I understand.
In our case, it's in most cases, in our infrastructure base, it's probably the most important thing. Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that later on with a couple of more questions that I have. But I want to ask you, in international sales, references is one of the most important things. I would say that it's more important to have a reference site abroad than having a website. So how did you manage to, to have your initial sales without having from the very beginning a reference customers abroad? How did you tackle this challenge?
So I guess that it has a lot to do with luck. I think that the way that we started was a stroke of luck. I wouldn't say anything even different than that. We posted a YouTube video that had, at that point, around 50 views, not more than that, about our technology, about our product. It was picked up by someone from Taiwan that was looking for a solution that was exactly fit for that. And he was a consultant for one of the biggest manufacturers in our vertical. And it's after a long series of POCs in China, we spent weeks over there. We secured that business, and that was the biggest manufacturer in our target market. So we struck we struck a deal with the biggest manufacturer, and all of the rest just follow, which means that we didn't have to go through long processes or long diligence process with other companies. Once we signed with the biggest one, all of them just followed. So that was a lot of luck, but we're not just targeting just one vertical, we're targeting a lot. And we're using that that vertical as a reference for others as well. So this is how we bring Lenovo or brought Lenovo on board and other manufacturers, all word of mouth, nothing with proactive marketing.
Wonderful story, wonderful story. Tell me, Michael, a little bit, how do you structure your price? I mean, I don't need the prices themselves, but based on what is your pricing model structure?
So we have quite a few models. It depends on who the customer is. And if we're talking about a manufacturer, we have anything from a global site license, meaning that they have a single yearly payment that will cover all all the sales, all the future sales for that year. And we also have a per device structure where we have a tiered price. Where if you're selling 1,000 units or 10,000 units. And of course, it goes with three more tiers, such as end user price, reseller price, and manufacturer price. But basically, it's either tier-based or site license.
I see, I get it. Now, what would be your recommendation for companies, going global? I mean, whether to focus on a single target market, or rather, distribute the efforts across several countries at the same time? What is your approach or your take about it?
In our case, it's probably different than any other company, but it really depends a lot on your budget, what you have in terms of budget. It depends a lot on your product. Is your product is your product coming with the same offering for every country, or do you need to have some adjustments for that? So if your product, such as ours, is agnostic, geographically agnostic, then you can probably focus on a global market. If you don't need your sales channels to be locally present in every country, and you rely on your top partners to establish their own sales channels, then I guess that there is no relevance to where you start and how many places you start. In our case, we started with, when we're talking to the global manufacturers, such as Lenovo, for example, they work globally, and we're leveraging on their sales channels. We don't have to establish our own. And this is why geographic, except of course, language interface and language barriers, there is no barrier to where you start.
Mm-hmm. Right. So at this point, in which countries or how many countries are you active, or do you have active customers?
Well, I actually don't really know. I think that
Too many.
I think that technically in every country globally, we have some products. It depends on the channel, depends on the how wealthy this country is, because our products usually come with an expensive device and not with typical low-end phones, but rather more expensive touchscreens, like I have some in the background here, or rugged devices which are more expensive and they're used by military or the police. So the global vendors are, we rely on where they are active, and we support them. Our product is a cloud-based solution that is available globally. We have data centers all over the world. We rely a lot on the Amazon infrastructure, and we have our own infrastructure in China, for example, on the Alibaba cloud. So there is no boundary for what we offer.
Right, I get it. Michael, can you mention one mistake or two mistakes that you have committed in your at least initial attempts to penetrate international markets? Something that maybe our audience can learn from and that you can maybe share with us?
Yeah, well, it's probably unique. Well, maybe it's not, but it was unique for us. Since we were a bootstrap company, we don't have any external investors, and everything was bootstrap. Then we always had a challenge where to put the biggest investment. Would it be, of course, the biggest investment is always, in our case at least, was R&D. But we had there was a big challenge to decide what is the more important, what is more important, to be the best or the first. And when you come up with a new product, are you waiting to perfect it? What's the MVP to say, okay, this is the product you want to be out. So sometimes we miss the time to market because we wanted to be the best and not the first. And I think that the most important and the biggest mistake that we did in the past was that we tried to be the best at what we see and what we thought was the MVP, the product to go out. But practically the market could have done with a lot less than what we offered. And that would have helped us capture the market at the stage where we were the first, not just the best. So that's the biggest mistake I think that we did.
That's an important lesson to learn from. Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you, we discussed it a little bit, but about the channel partners, working with partners. I understand that you guys are working only with partners, but how do you see the advantages, the disadvantages, and also which type of partners are you working with, and what are you offering them actually?
So yeah, the biggest challenge on establishing your own channel is how to nurture the channel. How to well, recruit new resellers in the global market. Usually, we do not have to establish our own sales channels. We usually rely on the partners channel, meaning the manufacturer. So if there is a hardware manufacturer that sells globally, usually his channel is also open for us. They may sometimes not be the right partner. They sometimes focus on selling hardware rather than software, but still it's a great entry point. And from there on, we can add more resellers. But the starting point is always clear. We have our partners, we have their channels, and it makes a lot of sense for us. We try to we try to attract new resellers by giving them enough leverage, a lot of all the marketing materials that we develop on our own, give them the original copies to put their own logos and translate it to their own language or their own sales language, not just the talking language, and to integrate it into the sales pipeline. We are doing a lot of training. We do a lot of sales training for our partners, and we give them enough space to make a lot of profit. I think that's the biggest key. If they make a lot of money selling a solution, they will put more efforts. And so in the channel, our channels, we try to let them profit, and that's the main point.
Yeah, you need to motivate them. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Completely makes sense. I'm interested to know which marketing channels have been working for you. Content marketing, website, SEO, PPC, advertisement in magazines, I don't know what. Which type of channels in your particular case have been working for you, and you thought that there's a good ROI for the investment?
So I think it has to be blended. There's no one point that we can say that worked for us more than the other. So we got a lot of leads from trade shows. And we got some leads from our website. This is where it all started. Anything from YouTube, as I mentioned, there is no little thing that will make the change, because at least in our case, we're not a B2C company, so we're not trying to attract every single end customer. But if we manage to secure a global vendor or a new partner in a country that we're not very active in, it doesn't really matter where it comes from. It can be something very, very small, a small investment in even a local trade show, a one-day trade show is good enough. but we see a lot of incoming traffic from our website, which is we invest a little bit in SEO, but not more than that. Most of our leads are coming from word of mouth. The beginning was more from the website, but today it's more word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Well, now with the trade shows, you know, you will have to find some replacement for the trade shows for the short term at least.
Yeah. Well, we got several of them canceled this year, and we don't see the future being brighter for that.
Michael, tell me please, how long did it take you to get the first significant sales? I mean, you mentioned this YouTube video. It's a wonderful story and great success. But still, what is the time that it takes from the decision to go global and seeing the first results that, you know, are a bit beyond the pilots, but the actual sales? How much time does it take?
Today, the average sales cycle for a new project is something between 3 to 6 months. That's a new vendor, a new partner, that it's between 3 to 6 months. The beginning was a bit longer, but we had a few. Well, I would say that the 3 first projects that we did, or the 3 first signups that we did, was around 6 months since we decided to come out with the product and go global. I think the first thing that we did was an international trade show, which was our first international trade show. It looked like a complete mess, but it brought us a few important leads that later on turned to something very significant. But we didn't do anything structured at first, and it was more sporadic. It took us about 6 months to be very, well, at least much more successful than what we thought we would.
That's awesome. Now, I mentioned before that you're very active in the education sector, and you told me that you are now offering like a distance learning solution. Can you elaborate a little bit about it?
Yes. So yeah, one of the strong points of our platform is that it's very, very modular, meaning that we can add and remove different modules, and we noticed that there's a very big gap between what is available today for distance learning. We are active in education, and most of our big customers are coming from that vertical. And we noticed that there is a huge gap between what the teachers are used to teaching in front of a classroom, a front-facing classroom, and what is available today. And we integrated a few technologies that we already have into one platform, which is a distance learning classroom management platform, which allows the teacher to teach remotely, like we're doing right now with this Zoom video conference. We're seeing the video, but we're also included classroom management capabilities, like the teacher is able to see what the students are doing on their computers at all times, lock their computers for attention, share websites, and do much more. So it feels like the teacher is inside the classroom, even if the students are remote. And this was you know, this is possible due to the fact that our platform is very, very flexible. And it took us about 2 weeks to integrate all these elements into one platform, and it makes a lot of difference today for many teachers. We have thousands of our current customers that are introducing this to their local school channels and even country level projects, and it has a big intake now.
So it's a really great need now with the Corona crisis and all the behavior, and with the students being at home. So it's a really good match, huh? A good timing for you guys.
Anything about remote management today is very important. So we decided to give our solutions free of charge until the 1st of July, and we will probably push it and extend it a little bit further. So education solution, remote distance learning, everything today is completely free, including remote management, meaning that all the devices that are scattered all over, you can remotely manage them, remote control, assistant, all the tools that we provide completely free of charge. We just signed an agreement with a company that delivers tablets to students. They made 18,000 tablets available for students that have hard time getting access to computers, and they're going to distribute that around the different countries. I think it's in the Caribbeans. So 18,000 devices will come with our device management, remote assistance, and everything free of charge for all the students.
Oh, wonderful. Great. That's really great. Michael, I want to thank you very much for this interview, for taking the time, sharing with us your experience, and some very important insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ori.